Hey, welcome to Unit 6. And, I can't believe that, time's rolling along and we're getting done. I'm, again, really enjoying the work. Everything is rolling along very smoothly, and I'm having a blast, and I hope you're having a blast taking the course. Unit 6. During this unit, we're going to talk about what really the components are of being a leader. And before I get into the leader word we're going to use as an acrostic, I want to tell you a little story about what happened to me. It's been now about 5 years ago, and it happened again 3 years ago. But anyway, let me tell the story. The largest insurance broker in Arkansas gave me a call. He'd seen me speak down in Atlanta, Georgia, and he gave me a call and asked me if I would come and do a presentation for his sales staff. He said he just got through going through a very unusual thing. He had 200 salespeople, and 100 of them either retired or left or transferred in about the span of 3 weeks. So in a month, he lost half his sales force. He'd hired a brand new sales force, and he wanted me to come in and kind of give them a little kickstart of training. And I said it'd be fun, so I went there. And now, please understand, I am not an insurance salesman. I know very little about insurance. So when I got into the room with 100 salespeople, there was a young man sitting right in the front row, and I said, treat me like a 5-year-old. Teach me how you sell insurance, because I'm not here to teach you how to sell. I'm here to let you understand why people buy. It's a big difference. So this young salesman said, well, the first thing I would do is I would try my best to get my hands on their policy. So what kind of policy would we be talking about? I said, I'll tell you what, for practice sake, let's say that it is a workman's comp policy. I have 100 employees. He goes, okay, perfect, I can work with that. He said, I'd do my best to get a copy of the insurance policy. He said, I would go through the insurance policy, and what I would do is I would find the holes in it. Let me tell you what you can always do with insurance policies. You can always find holes where coverage just wasn't there. And workman's comp is a great place because you could actually lose your business. He said, so I'd go through the policy, I'd comb through it, find all the holes, I'd write a new policy with better coverage, probably wouldn't cost that much more money, but it would be a much better policy. I said, you know what? So far, everything you're saying makes perfect sense to me. I said, now take me to the sale. He said, well, I'd make an appointment with you. I'd come in, I'd sit down at your office, I'd tell you about the policy, I'd tell you the holes I found and what I did to make it better. And then I would give you a day to reflect and to think about it. I said, what do you mean? Well, I'd tell you I'll come back tomorrow and I'd bring the contract. I said, oh, no. He said, what do you mean? I said, do you remember I'm here not to teach you how to sell, but to here to have you understand about the customer? He said, yeah. I said, well, let me tell you what I'm going to do. When you give me all that information, I'm going to sit there, I'm going to nod my head, I'm going to just kind of flow with you and everything. And then when you say, I'm going to give you a day to think about it, you're going to leave the office. You know what I'm going to do? He said, think about the policy? I said, no. I'm going to call my old insurance agent. And I'm going to say, a guy just walked in my office and gave me a better policy than you gave me. And you know what my insurance company guy's going to say? Oh, I can do that. And see, you did all the work, and you don't make nothing. He goes, wow, I never thought about that. I said, well, what's your closure rate? And he said, about 57%. And I said, that could be why. Half the people have figured out that all they got to do is make that one phone call and make this painless as possible. I don't have to change any paperwork or have to change who the check's going to. He goes, I never thought about that. I said, so let me tell you what I would do. Here's how I would change that process. I would do exactly the same thing you did. I would get the policy. I would go through it. But then I would get this guy on a thinking level. Because here's the thing you need to understand. People do not like their insurance men. They just don't like them. So this is how I would do it. I would walk in and I'd say, look, hey, I went through your policy. I found some holes. I found a policy that I think is a great policy. But before I tell you about the policy, let me ask you a question. The insurance guy, the guy you're buying insurance from right now, is he your friend? Is he related to you? Does he go to your church? Is he your wife's second cousin, half brothers, nephews, whatever? No, he's just my insurance agent. Okay, good. Does your company have a lawyer? Yeah. Tell me, when you hired your lawyer, did you go out in the middle of a street, wait for an accident to happen, and the first guy that showed up, did you hire him? No, no. We have a lawyer who's been with us for years. He's a great lawyer. Good, good. Let me ask you another question. You got an accountant? Yeah, we have an accountant. Does he gamble? Well, no, he doesn't gamble. I said, great. So you thought about who you hired, right? Well, sure. Have you ever been sick? Yeah. You ever had surgery? Yeah. Did you walk in the hospital and go, look, I got $50. Who wants to do this appendectomy? Or did you hire the best lawyer, best accountant, and best doctor you could possibly hire? He said, well, of course, we hired the best. And I said, well, why are you trusting your business to an insurance agent that really could care less what's in your policy? Because if he was, he'd already changed it. See, he was interested in you for the first 2 years, and then when he found out he had you, he didn't call you anymore, did he? He only comes when it's time for the check to get. Well, yeah. Okay, here's where we're going to change this. Look, I'm not here to get your automobile insurance. I'm not here to get your health insurance. I'm not here to get any of those things, because I think, and I need to prove to you first, that I can do the best job that you can get before you can give me any of that stuff. So I'm asking for just this little opportunity to do this policy. But I have to be honest with you. I have to get you to sign this before I leave, because I refuse to leave this room so that you can call this guy that you don't like or you don't trust, so that he'll get the business after I did all the work. And man, I look down, they're all writing notes. They're all taking notes. Do the program, go home. 2 years later, get a call. Same company wants me to come back. Wants me to come back and do a celebration banquet. I get picked up at the airport, and I said, tell me about the celebration banquet. And the guy who owned the company said, do you remember the young man that was sitting on the front row that you gave so much grief to about the policy? I said, oh, yeah, the one with the, yeah, I remember that. I remember us going through that exercise. He said, you're here because of him. And I said, really? Dale, he is the highest paid insurance salesman in the country, and he only has 2 customers, Walmart and J.B. Hunt. He makes $2.7 million a quarter. He doesn't even have an office here anymore. He spends 3 days at Walmart headquarters, 2 days at J.B. Hunt. He wanted to take on Mrs. Fields Cookies, and I wouldn't let him. He's phenomenal, but he did exactly what you told him to do. He builds rapport, and he lives with those customers. See, so that's why I chose this unit to talk about the manager and the leader, and what components, if we were going to build a leader, if we were going to have somebody come in here that was not a leader, was not a manager, and we wanted to build that person, I think that what they have are 6 qualities. 6 qualities that make a great leader, that make a great manager, and we're going to spend the rest of this unit talking about them. Number 1 is they listen. They have this unique ability to listen. If they go to a meeting, they don't sit there and let everybody else. Because, see, most people don't understand that when 2 people are together and 2 people are in a conversation trying to solve a problem, and they spend 30 minutes solving that problem and moving on, most of us do not know what that's called. It's called a miracle. Because, you see, when most 2 people get together, while this one's talking, this one's thinking about what they're going to say next. And while this one's talking, this one's thinking about what they're going to say next. And there is absolutely, positively no one listening. We talked about this a little in an earlier unit, but what I'd like for you to do is get in the habit of carrying yourself a small notebook, something you can carry in your back pocket, in your shirt pocket, in your jacket pocket. But when somebody starts asking you to do something, somebody wants to know your opinion, somebody is asking for interaction, I need you to take out that notebook, and I need you to constantly stand there listening and writing down words that will help you key into what they said. And when the conversation is over, I want you to do this. Here is what I heard you say. And you go down that little list of notes, repeating to this person what their priority was, and then say this: which one of these is most important to you, and which one of these would you rather me give my full priority to? And when they tell you, you already know your job. See, listening is a skill that most leaders really key in on. They have to They have to constantly work on listening, because listening is such a hard thing to do, because we want to be the most important. As a matter of fact, we love talking about ourselves. Have you ever seen somebody talk about themselves? Let me tell you about me. Let me tell you about me. This is what I think. Tell me about me. Oh, enough about what I think. Let's talk about you. What do you think about me? It's all about us. So I think a good manager, a good leader, always listens. I think a good leader and manager always excites people. They always have something that is new, always have something that's going on. I think they're able to create a vision, and I think they are able to take that vision and march it down the road. There is a great story that I love talking about when I think about this, and this story is about Sam Walton. Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart, had a certain charisma and excitement. And what Sam Walton was able to do very early in his career was he would take one of his major team members, leader, vice president, and they would buy a store. And as they bought that store, he'd say, let's go across the street and see what the competition is doing. And Sam Walton really wasn't interested in what the competition was doing. What he was interested in was seeing how the leadership of his organization saw what they saw. And they would go in a competitor store, and Sam would tell them, write down everything you see that you would think that we need to bring to Walmart. And he said they would go out and they would meet in the parking lot. And this person on the leadership team would say this, Sam, did you see how messy their store was? And Sam Walton would go, yeah, I saw that. But did you see the pantyhose aisle? That was brilliant. Did you see how they had the pantyhose laid out? Did you see how, that's how I want every one of our pantyhose aisles to be in Walmart. And then the person on the leadership team would say, yeah, but Sam, did you see their stock room? It was just awful. And Sam would go, yeah, I saw that. But did you see how they did their hair care products? And it would take Sam a good 15 minutes for the people on his team to understand Sam Walton didn't see the dirt. Sam Walton didn't see the disorganization. Sam Walton didn't see what was wrong. Sam Walton wanted to copy what was right. And if you go to a Walmart today, if you walk the aisles of a Walmart, you know what you'll see? You'll see the compilation of every good thing that every store ever did. And Sam Walton copied it and brought it to Walmart. And that tradition holds true today. I've been to many of the Tuesday morning meetings at Walmart where they talk about their competitors. And that tradition of not talking about badly of what they did, but taking the best of how they accomplished and copying it and using it. That's the gift. See, I want you to get used to walking around. See, I could start you at 0, and if I just put you in a vacuum and marched you down the road, it might be 3-4 years where you were able to get to the place where you could manage and lead. But I want to see you hyperdrive that. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to look around to the people that work with you right now, that are where you want to be, and you just do what they do. My first job as a salesman, I worked for a little paper company in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'd never sold paper. Didn't know anything about paper. But I needed a part-time job. I was going to college. Walked in, applied for the job. The guy who hired me said, what do you know about paper? I said, nothing. He said, have you ever sold anything? I said, been selling stuff all my life. He goes, I'm going to take a chance on you. I said, you won't be sorry. Well, first day of job, we had a competitor 3 blocks down the road. I walked into the competitors. I won't tell you the name of the paper company. Walked into that competitor, and secretary was sitting there, and I went over and leaned up against she didn't know me from Adam. And I said, let me ask you a question. Who do you think is the best paper salesman you have? And she goes, oh, no doubt. And she told me the gentleman's name. I said, okay. So I went out in the parking lot. He got in his car. Wherever he went, I followed him. I followed him to every call he made that day. Next day, I made all those calls again. I walked in right behind him, and I said this, you don't know me, but I know that yesterday, my competitor called on you. Now, I'm sure he calls on you regularly, but I said, the difference is that I'm here to find out what you need. He came to find out what he could sell you. I became the best part-time salesman they had because I took someone who was successful and just followed them. It's that simple. Leaders listen. Leaders excite people. They are excitable. They don't look like they've lost their best friend every day at work. This next one you're going to find is a little bit silly. But I think I want you to listen, and I want you to pay attention. Leaders and managers always, not sometimes, not occasionally, always are early. Always. My grandfather taught me this little principle. He said, in life you can be early or you can be late. You can never be on time. Always be early. And the reason you want to always be early is because you want to set a code for those to follow after you. See, when you show up late, you give everybody in your organization a permission to do what? Be late too. Boss comes in late, I can come in late. Guy who's leader comes in late, I can come in late. See, whatever you do, they're going to do because it's follow the leader. There's a great old line in a book that Louis Guzard wrote. He said that if you don't become the lead dog on the sled team, scenery never changes. In other words, you're always looking at what? The lead dog's rear end. You want to be the lead dog. So the lead dog always is first. So they're always on time. The lead dog always, they're always word, always understands that the word but is not used. But's a crazy word. Let me give you an example. You are one of the best employees that I have, but now you know what's coming next, right? A big, huge compliment. No. Whatever was put on this side of the equation is put on this side of the equation in negative, and you never hear the good stuff because you always hear the negative. But's not an option for leaders and managers. Do your best this week. Every time you feel that but word starting to form in your mouth, use the word and. Let me show you the difference. Here's the bad way to use it. You're a great employee, but this morning you were late. Okay, erase that. Let's do it again. You're a great employee. And this morning when we came in, I didn't see you. And I knew because you weren't here, we would not be as effective as when you were. Because see, I need you here so that other people can do their best and you can do your best because you are valuable to me. See, I just chewed you out for being late. But you didn't hear it because they didn't use the word but. Leaders, always listen. Leaders are excited. Leaders are always early, and leaders always never use the word but. Leaders are determined. They're determined to be the best. Now, that's a real kind of a trite little saying, a way of saying always be the best. It's kind of like saying have a great day. Always be the best. Do you know what a winner is? It's a person that always wins. Do you know what a champion is? Let me just ask a question before I answer that one. Would you rather be a winner or a champion? Arnold Palmer, one of my personal heroes, great champion. I don't think anybody would argue with that. He's a great champion. Did he always win? No. See, where we get so tied into winning, when we lose all self-respect for ourselves. But when we become a champion, it's okay to lose. As a matter of fact, losing is part of the championship. We've learned lessons. The next thing in leader is excel. Excel at what, Dale? Excel at everything you possibly can. But here's where I want you to concentrate the majority and the bulk of your excelling. Excel in things you do best. When I was a kid, when I graduated from elementary school, I went to high school. I am 5'6" on a good day. When I left elementary school and went to high school, I think everybody in my class grew 5 inches except for me. I didn't. So when I got to high school, I assumed I could play basketball. My coach told me that, he had lots of good taller players, and that probably wasn't going to be an option for me. So I said, no big deal. I'd never played football, but I thought, that sounds fun. I play football. So I went over, and the coach told me that I might want to, take a couple of years and beef up a little bit before I played a sport like football. I went home, and I was very downhearted, I guess you could say. I was sitting on the front porch of my grandfather's house. My grandfather came in. He worked at Alcoa Aluminum Company, and he came in and he saw me on the couch on the front porch rather with my lip hanging down, and he said, "What's wrong, Dale?" I said, "Well, I tried out for basketball. They wouldn't take me. Tried out for football. I said I was too little too. I just wanted to play sports, boss," because I called my grandfather boss. And he said, "Well, Dale, get up and stand up. Let me look at you." Never had my grandfather say that, so I stood up. He said, "Turn around." So I turned around. He said, "You should try to be a baseball player. Baseball players aren't tied into big, tall, short, fat. But you ought to be a baseball player." I said, "Well, I've never played baseball. I played softball out in the field." He said, "Baseball, softball, same thing." He said, "I'll tell you what, we'll start working out tomorrow." Now, what you need to know is that every day, I was raised on a farm. Every day I had something to do. I either had to plow, I had to do something, I had to move cows. I had a job, and every day I had a job. So I came home from school that day. My grandfather had humped up a bunch of dirt, and I don't even know where he got the stats for this, but he humped up this bunch of dirt, exactly the right number of spaces away from the woodshed, put a home plate, and right over the home plate at the appropriate height was a bushel basket with a bottom cut out. He'd gone down to Mosier's department store, and he bought 3 dozen baseballs. I came home, and the basket full of baseballs was next to the pitcher's mound, and he said, "Here's your job for the next 8 weeks. You will stand on this pitcher's mound, and you will throw balls in the bottom of that bushel basket. You don't have to work in the farm. You don't have to do any plowing. You don't have to do any mowing. You don't have to do nothing. This is your job. But when you get home from school, you get on this mound, and outside of eating your dinner, you throw baseballs till it gets so dark you can't do it no more." I said, "I can do that." Of course, let me tell you what. Sounded like a good deal at first, but try standing on a baseball mound for 7 hours a day throwing balls to the bottom of a basket. It ain't fun no more. Especially when this is your motivation. Every time I would throw the ball through the basket and not hit the basket, my grandfather would say this, "Yep." Now, that ain't real motivational to me, but he thought it was. He'd wait till I threw every one of the balls. He'd go back, he'd pick them up, he'd bring them back to the mound. I never stepped off that mound for 6 weeks. But let me tell you what I got. I got good. Matter of fact, I excelled at throwing a baseball through the bottom of a bushel basket. Went down to try out for baseball. Of course, my grandfather drove me down there. There was about 80 of us that went down to try out. 65 of us wanted to be a pitcher. Broke us up into groups of 10. I was in the second group. I was the second boy. Walked out there on the pitcher's mound. All I did was think about that bushel basket standing out there. Funny thing about it was that catcher's mitt looked just like a bushel basket to me, and I started throwing balls. Now, it made me feel good when the hind catcher said, "You don't have to throw them that fast. We're just practicing." And that's when the coach started watching me. I threw about 40 pitches before he really looked at me, but then one hand went in the fence, and then 2 hands went in the fence. And he hollered out at me. He said, "Son, let me see your curve ball." I didn't know how to throw a curve ball. I knew how to throw a ball through the bottom of the basket. I just turned it a little bit different, threw it harder. How about a slider, son? You got a slider? Turned a little bit different, threw the ball a little bit different. It was just a fastball. Got done. He walked out and he said, "I want you to pitch for me, son." Oh, I didn't even need ground to run to my grandfather and tell him. But what he said next proved to me that leaders excel. And this is what he said. "Every day, son, I want you to practice your fastball." I said, "Coach, fastball's my best pitch." He said, "Son, it's your only pitch, but I want it to be your best pitch." See, we have to understand to excel means do our best pitch every single time. R in later is be resilient. Be resilient. Always come in and make today the new day. Make today yours. Have a good one. See you in Unit 7. See ya.